afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Yumna Naufal, and these are today's top stories. Parliament holds a meeting in an attempt to agree on the agenda of the upcoming legislative session. Lebanese Forces leader Samir Jaja criticizes the state's failure to resolve the country's waste crisis, wondering why Agriculture Minister Shayib's plan has not been implemented yet. And Prime Minister Tamam Salam delivers a strong message to Hezbollah in the Metin and Kisrwan regions, blaming them for the ongoing waste crisis. The Parliament Bureau held a meeting earlier this morning in an attempt to agree on the agenda of the upcoming legislative session. Deputy Speaker Farid Makari stated after the meeting, however, that the concerned forces failed to agree on an agenda. A new meeting for the Bureau will be held on November 11th. Tuesday's meeting was held at Speaker Nabih Biddi's residence in Ain al-Tine. It was attended by MPs Marwan Ahmedi, Ahmed Fatfat, Michel Moussa, Antoine Zahra and Serge Torsassission. Dispute emerged after the talks on whether to include a draft law on restoring the nationality of Lebanese expatriates. Lebanese Forces MP Antoine Zahra told reporters that the LF and Free Patriotic Movement insist on including parliamentary electoral law on the agenda of legislative sessions after draft laws on the nationality have been included. Lebanese Forces leader Samir Jaja is criticizing the state's failure to resolve the country's waste disposal crisis, wondering why Agriculture Minister Akram Shayib's plan has not been implemented yet. He asked during a press conference, why have we not implemented the plan if it is garnering the approval of the majority of sides? It may not be the best proposal, but it is the best we have to work with at the moment. How is it that a state authority has to acquire the permission of everyone in order to take any step? He asked this after the plan was met by refusals by various municipalities that opposed the dumping of waste in their regions. He therefore, of course, urged Prime Minister Tamam Salam and concerned officials to implement the plan as soon as possible because the situation, he says, has become unbearable. Prime Minister Tamam Salam delivered a strong message to Hezbollah and political leaders in the Metin and Kisrwan regions, blaming them for the ongoing waste crisis. The problem, he says, lies not only in finding a landfill in the Baalbek-Hirmin sector in the western Bekaa, but also the Stral landfill in Akkad and finding landfills as well in the regions. He said that while there are more than 30 quarry and crushing plants in northern Mount Lebanon, no local politician is willing to help convert any of the sites into landfills. The political forces there, Kisrwan and Metin, refused to give out one single landfill, Salam told the newspaper As-Safir. He said some people come out to urge me to open the Stral landfill by force, however. Turkey presses on with its war on terror just 5 days before the country goes to polls, detaining dozens of Islamic State suspects and hitting Kurdish rebels across the border in Syria. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said he's been playing the security card in the run-up to Sunday's vote, with tensions running high over the renewed Turkish conflict and a massive bomb attack blamed on ISIS jihadists within Syria. Around 200 Turkish police launched a massive dawn swoop on suspected ISIS hideouts in the conservative central Anatolian city, detaining 30 jihadists, including one woman. Another 14 suspects were arrested in a similar operation in the town of Koshwali, east of Istanbul. The raids followed a gun battle in a similar operation on Monday in the southeastern Kurdish majority city, which left 2 policemen and 7 ISIS suspects dead. France is to host a meeting on the Syrian crisis with Western and Arab allies later on today. Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius says the working dinner, as he called it, at the French Foreign Ministry will include the main partners engaged with France in dealing with the Syrian crisis: Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Jordan, Qatar, Turkey, Germany, the United States, Italy, and Britain. The meeting will feature mainly lower-rung officials, with the United States sending its Deputy Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, in the place of his boss, John Kerry. Britain says it is unlikely that Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond would take part. France was not included in four-way talks on Syria between Russia, the U.S., Saudi Arabia, and Turkey, which took place last Friday. A Russian spokesman said those 4 countries are working on organizing another possible meeting this Friday in Vienna. Well, Fabius said last week that France is working towards presenting a draft UN Security Council resolution to stop President Bashar al-Assad's regime from using barrel bombs. Coming up next, the latest 007 installment, Spectre, celebrates its world premiere, and we've got the stars. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching the 4:20 o'clock news here on Future Television. Several thousand Palestinians marched in a funeral procession for a Palestinian killed in stone-throwing clashes in the West Bank. Israeli forces shot dead the man during stone-throwing confrontations at a village near Hebron. The Israeli army had no immediate comment, but earlier on Monday, Israeli forces shot dead a Palestinian assailant who the army said had stabbed and wounded a soldier at an intersection near the town of Hebron as well. Hours later, another Palestinian was shot and killed by soldiers after he tried to stab an Israeli inside the town. The ongoing violence, which in recent days has become more sporadic, has in part been triggered by Palestinian anger over what they see as Jewish encroachment on the Al-Aqsa compound, Islam's third holiest site, which is also revered by Jews. Rescuers are rushing to deliver relief aid to victims of a magnitude 7.5 earthquake that hit northern Afghanistan and Pakistan, killing more than 300 people over a wide swath of mostly mountainous terrain. Thousands spend the night outdoors in near freezing temperatures, reluctant to go back inside for fear of aftershocks. Pakistani media reported that rescue work is ongoing and tents, blankets and sleeping mats are being provided. Latif Rahman, a Pakistani disaster management official, said that from the western city of Peshawar, Pakistan's military and civilian authorities have been dispatched and have dispatched several helicopters to affected areas to assess the damage. This is according to the National Disaster Management Authority. Saudi Arabia says one of its citizens is carrying out the suicide bombing at a mosque in the country's south the previous night, an attack for which ISIS claimed responsibility. Interior Ministry spokesman Mansour al-Turki identified the bomber on Tuesday as 34-year-old Saad al-Harti. The blast struck the mosque belonging to the Ismaili Shia minority in the city of Najran after sunset, killing one and wounding several others. The site intelligence group, which monitors extremist activity online, says an ISIS affiliate known as Hijaz Province claimed it carried out the attack. It was the fourth bombing targeting Saudi mosques and claimed by ISIS affiliates since May. The group considers Shia as heretics and seeks to weaken the ruling Saud family's legitimacy. A Yemeni hospital run by medical aid group Médecins Sans Frontières was bombed in a Saudi-led airstrike, wrecking the facility and wounding several people, according to the hospital director. Saudi-led Arab coalition intervened in Yemen's civil war in March to try to restore the government after toppling by Houthi rebels, but the civilian death toll has escalated since then, alarming the United Nations and human rights groups. Yemen's state news agency said that run by Iran-allied Houthi, whom the Arab coalition is fighting, quoted the Hidan hospital director as saying several people were injured during the attack. More than 5,600 people have died in Yemen's conflict, and shuttle diplomacy by a UN envoy has yet to secure a political solution. The latest 007 installment, Spectre, is celebrated its world premiere in the company of Bond's biggest stars as well as British royalty. James Bond actor Daniel Craig was joined on the red carpet by his fellow leading cast members, including Christoph Waltz, Naomi Harris, Ben Whishaw and Ralph Fiennes. It's the 47-year-old's fourth outing as 007 and his second with director Sam Mendes after Mendes directed 2012's critically acclaimed Skyfall. That grossed over $1 billion at the global box office and did win 2 Oscars and 1 BAFTA. The cast were cheered on by hundreds of fans who lined behind barriers and waved from balconies adjacent to the Royal Albert Hall, where the premiere event took place. In the Madame Tussauds museums dotted around the world, there are wax figures of Hollywood stars, musicians, global politicians, and kings, as well as queens. Now, add to that list a YouTube personality. Madame Tussauds in New York added its first YouTube personality to their collection of wax figures. Jenna Marbles, née Jenna Murray, is a YouTube personality and a vlogger with over 15 million subscribers on her YouTube channel and over 1.8 billion video views. According to Madame Tussauds, Marbles hosts one of the top 10 YouTube channels and owns the top channel operated by a woman.
I almost cried. I almost cried. I was like, it's so cool, surreal, exciting, just everything. I feel all of my emotions and feelings.
When Madame Tussauds first called you and said we want to make a wax figure, what were you thinking?
I said, shut up. Like, cool joke. I thought that was a joke. Because who takes that seriously? You guys are lying and drunk, but it's real. It's incredible. Who thinks that this is going to happen to them in their life? Never. Certainly not by, like, doing that in my room. It was really cool to see how they make them. It was not like my favorite thing in the world to have someone like measure your armpit and stuff. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten all that pizza. Sorry, guys. But it was incredible to see how they match your eyes and your teeth and your hair, your gums. And my favorite part was probably the hand molds, because you're like, it's all gooey. It felt really good. My least favorite part was the mouth molds, because I just had to sit there and, you know, stare into space for a while. I couldn't say anything.
Several thousand costumed zombies, sometimes called the Walking Dead, took to the streets on bicycles during the annual zombie bike ride in Key West in Florida. Approximately 8,500 participants in time for Halloween, ranging from seniors to families with kids and dogs, biked along the beaches and streets of the island city wearing dead white face paint, gory tailored garments, and classic zombie fashion. They also wore accessories that ranged from tutus to top hats. The scary cyclists traveled a route along Key West's Atlantic Ocean shore and into a section of picturesque Old Town, culminating in the Zombie Fest party on famed Duval Street. The zombie bike ride coincided with the first weekend of Key West's annual Fantasy Fest costuming and masking festival that continues through Sunday, November 1st. This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our top stories. Parliament holds a meeting in an attempt to agree on the agenda of the upcoming legislative session. Lebanese forces leader Samir Jaja criticizes the state's failure to resolve the country's waste disposal crisis, wondering why Agriculture Minister Shayib's plan has not been implemented yet. And Prime Minister Tamam Salam delivers a strong message to Hezbollah and political leaders in the Matan and Kasserine regions, blaming them for the ongoing waste crisis. Those are your Tuesday headlines live on Future Television. Catch us again tomorrow at 4:20 for all the latest. Have a good night.